Rxseboy is an artist who, despite being on the Mount Rushmore of lo-fi and having millions of monthly listeners, has nearly no information available about him. That's why I took it upon myself to make the story of Rxseboy.
Only wanted to party, I'm not enough, and I'm sorry. I see myself in the mirror, look on my face is alarming.
Rxseboy, aka Anthony Tubbs, was born in New York on December 19th, 1999, but he would end up moving to Florida before he ever went to school. In Florida, his elementary school would not be a very good experience because the other kids realized that if they broke something or they were going to get in trouble, if they worked together, they could just pin everything on Anthony. And this would lead to him coming home to parents who believed he was misbehaving on a regular basis. Now, his home life already wasn't the best situation, but this would only add fuel to the fire and lead to real repercussions from Rxseboy. Because of this, Rxseboy would have a tendency to try to do anything he can to not take accountability because most of the time he wasn't even doing the things that he was accused of. Either way, his father would end up leaving a few years later, which would relieve some of the tension in the family, but around the same time, Rxseboy's grandmother would die, leading to his grandfather and his mother being in shambles, and they were who he lived with. This would lead to Rxseboy having no real role model down the line, and combined with his unwillingness to take accountability, would lead to him having relationship problems for years to come. The first indication that Rxseboy would have a future in music would come when him and his mother were shopping and she allowed him to pick out an album. He decided he would take a Gwen Stefani album, and one of the songs on it had a very fast part that he fell in love with. What he ended up doing is looking for other songs that sounded like it, and this is where he fell in love with fast rap and would start trying to do it on his gaming YouTube channel. Now, his fans didn't really like this and would beg him to stop doing it until he eventually did. His rapping skills would come back into play when sophomore year of high school, his girlfriend decided she was going to break up with him in front of everyone during a pep rally. Rose decided he was going to get even, so he went home, wrote a diss track, and threw it on social media. As you can imagine, everyone in the school loved it. They were all supporting Rxseboy. He became a legend overnight, and the girl was getting clowned pretty harshly. With that being said, Rose got the attention and decided that he wanted to pursue music, so he continued putting out songs which the classmates would kind of make fun of him for. Because of this, he would try to take breaks every time he dropped music to try to get the attention off of him and students to stop talking about him. That is, until senior year. Senior year, he would discover Love Sad Kid, Atlas, Atwood, and Limbo. Huge lo-fi artists who were really good at putting imagery in their songs. Rxseboy heard their songs and decided that he could do it a little differently by making more hype or more sad tracks, making emotional music. So, with more confidence because he was a senior, he started dropping music more consistently again. Rxseboy had two major incidents in college that would change his career forever. The first one was that despite him paying for a beat that allegedly had a cleared sample on it, the original artist never cleared the sample. This means that Rxseboy, despite not making money on his music at the time and actually paying for the beat, had to reset and make a brand new SoundCloud account and take whatever fans he could onto the new one.
What's up, guys? Long story short, basically, SoundCloud copyright striked one of my songs because the label told them to, and I tried disputing it, but it didn't work. And I've been trying to get in contact with the label because basically it's just a sample of someone else's song that a person who made the beat used, and SoundCloud decided to go after me for it because the label said, hey, this isn't right, when in reality I didn't have this song monetized, so like, really?
This was a major hit towards his career. Despite him not having the largest audience in the first place, he still had to start from the ground up. And around the same time, his girlfriend would end up cheating on him. This led to Rxseboy making some massive decisions. The first decision was that he dropped out of college, and the second one was that he was going to stop wasting his time with everything else and fully devote himself to music. Starting from the ground up, Rose would start getting some momentum. Rxseboy would become a first-hand example that sometimes it's not the situation that matters, but your reaction to the situation. He had two things that are almost objectively terrible happen to him, yet he was able to leverage them into the defining moment of his career. After these situations, he would grind music relentlessly, dropping over 30 tracks in the next year and getting a DM from someone who wanted to collaborate with him called Powfu. They would come together on two songs, the first one being Bored Without You,
I fell in love with the old you. Now you acting different.
and the second one being a Justin Bieber remix.
'Cause if you like the way you looked at me, touch.
While both of these collaborations would bring a lot of attention towards his name, his own independent track, I'm a Ghost But It Hurts, would bring a lot more attention. And then on top of that, he would have another song that would absolutely explode his career. Eyes Blue Like the Atlantic, Part 2. From what I was able to find, this song came together when a label reached out to Sarcastic Sounds and asked them to make a lo-fi version of his song. Originally, they were aiming for powfu on the track, but powfu wasn't really interested in working on it, which would leave it as just a file on Sarcastic Sounds' hard drive. That was until there was one night that Rxseboy and Sarcastic Sounds were on a call, and Rxseboy just felt like working on something. So he asked Sarcastic if he had anything, and Sarcastic sent over the beat. Him and Rxseboy would stay up that entire night working on the song, and when they were done with it, they felt as though they could have another guest on it. So they reached out to powfu once again, and this time he was actually interested in being on the song. Now, they had powfu, they had Rxseboy, and they sent it to the label. The label should have been happy, right? But they weren't. They added Alec Benjamin to the song, and after adding him, they thought the song was really good. All three artists enjoyed the song, but the label decided they wanted one more change. They wanted Rxseboy off of the song. With that being said, for whatever reason, this didn't end up happening. I don't know if Alec Benjamin or powfu or even Sarcastic Sounds threatened to pull themselves out of the song if this happened, but Rxseboy stayed on the song either way, and it would be one of the biggest songs in all of their careers. Momentum is one of the most important aspects of the music industry. It's how an artist like Chance the Rapper can go from being one of the most respected to one of the most made fun of artists in just a few years. Now Rxseboy, coming off of a 2019 year where he would drop 36 tracks without including any of the features he did, would go into 2020 and drop just 6 tracks. And the reason for this change was a label. Now don't get me wrong, Rxseboy absolutely did his part on the songs that he did release in 2020, but it's going to be very hard for an artist who would drop 3 songs per month to go to dropping 1 song every 2 months and maintain momentum. And it wasn't just 2020. In 2021 and 2022, he would still be in the single digits for songs released and would go from his 2019 year where he absolutely grinded, dropped 36 tracks, and was hitting milestone after milestone to being signed with this label, not allowed to release any music, and see all the momentum dwindle away with nothing to show for it. Now, at the same time, he had another issue because when he visited his friend in another state, he would be waiting outside of their house when he heard a tap on his window. When he looked over, he would see a weapon pointed at him. The person holding the weapon would tell Rxseboy it's a pretty good idea to hand over your phone and wallet, and he would do so. This was happening at the same time as his career was completely dwindling within his hands, and he couldn't do anything about it.
Tell me, baby.
Now these days, things seem to look really good for Rxseboy. For the first time in 3 years, he has no record label and no distributor under his most recent song, meaning that he can drop what he wants when he wants, and it looks like he's taking advantage of it because his most recent track doesn't really sound like anything he's put out before. I want you guys to let me know what you think of that track and whether you think he can make a comeback or whether he's going to continue to see his numbers fall. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.